Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you could join me today. I hope everybody's doing well. Are you getting ready for the holidays? Christmas is only 4 weeks away, can you believe it? I don't know what happened to 2022, it just kind of flashed by. But anyway guys, now's the time to get busy making Christmas decorations and gifts. And today we're going to be making that gorgeous snowflake ornament that you saw in the introduction. And you can make that ornament with any beads, but I'm going to be using the beads from Didi's Deluxe Bead box for the month of November. I absolutely love the colors in that box. They were so gorgeous, and it was filled with all kinds of angel wings. And initially I was going to make a pair of earrings or something that had an angel theme, but then I changed my mind because I got this inspiration, this idea to make a snowflake ornament. I did make one last year around about this time, and if you didn't see that video, I'll link it down below. But I'm basically using the same technique that I used in that video, just with different beads. I actually had to use 28 gauge wire, unfortunately. I prefer using 26 gauge. I'm going to be using pearl beads in the design, and they had very small holes, and I couldn't use the 26 gauge, unfortunately. But if you use different beads, I recommend that you use 26 gauge because it's a little bit sturdier. The snowflake that I'm going to be making today has 6 points, but it also has some secondary points in between the 6 points, and those are the ones that I'm concerned about if you use 28 gauge. But if you make the ornament for yourself, you can certainly take care of it. If you make it for somebody else, they may not be able to take care of it and it may get bent. So please don't give me a thumbs down because I'm using 28 gauge. I am giving you a warning and I'm telling you the reasons why I use 28 gauge. I know I shouldn't be worried about getting thumbs downs, but I still get them from time to time. Not too many. Once in a while I get them. And it's usually people who either disagree with the design or they disagree with my technique or something like that. And I really don't have a problem with it because usually when somebody does that, there's a valid reason. And so I pay attention to all of that, guys. I know you're telling me to ignore it, but I can't ignore thumbs downs. And like I said, I don't get very many, so I shouldn't complain. So anyway, guys, today's tutorial is going to be a little bit different than the usual, because it's not going to be jewelry of any kind. I guess you could call it a jewelry piece for a Christmas tree. But another idea for this ornament is that it makes a really great sun catcher. So if you attach a suction cup, you can put it on the window and it looks beautiful. So anyway, like I said, we're going to be using the beads from Didi's Deluxe Bead box, the November edition. And if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave a link down below to the website so you can go check it out. The other thing that I like to leave down below in the description section are timestamps. So if you want to skip forward to any portion of the video, you can do so. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I leave a list of all the materials down below as well, and a list of the tools that I'm going to be using as well. So anyway, guys, I don't want to make this video any longer than it should be. So let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. And here we have Didi's Deluxe Bead box for the month of November. Let's go ahead and open it up. As always, it comes wrapped in tissue with a cute little sticker. And it looks like the theme of the box is Guardian Angels. Let me just go ahead and read to you the description really quickly. As we slowly get into the holiday spirit, it is the perfect time to begin creating gift-giving and home decor angel charms and crafts. Although thoughts of angels appear mostly during the Christmas season, I've curated a lovely vintage scheme using soft tones of cream, gold, pink, and white, adding a pop of rich midnight blue rainbow and plum that will fit perfectly not only for the holiday seasons, but for everyday wear, reminding us that our guardian angels are with us all year round. Well, isn't that a beautiful message? I truly believe each one of us has guardian angels. I really do. So anyway, guys, as you can see, the materials are listed. They're all listed very nicely down here with the description, the measurements, and everything. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek. And right away, I can see some gorgeous neutral colors. I'm also seeing a mixture of gold and silver metals. Let me go ahead and lay everything out on the mat and we'll take a quick look. And look at this gorgeous array of Christmassy looking items. And I say Christmassy because of all the angel wings down below here and also because of the gold and the silver tones. But these are not your traditional Christmas colors. Like the description says, it's mostly a vintage scheme, which is why we're seeing such beautiful soft colors. I love the color of these pearls. These are so pretty. So anyway, like I said, I just want to give you a quick glimpse. We have some gorgeous 10mm size beads here. I think these are acrylic. I don't think these are glass. I think these are acrylic, but they're very pretty. Now these are definitely glass. They're 8mm in size. I absolutely love that color. And these right here are very unique looking. I've never seen beads like these. They're called carved pearl teardrop beads and they're actually acrylic as well. Aren't these unique, guys? They're so unique looking. And I think there are two different sizes. There's a bigger one that measures 30 by 15 millimeters, and there's a smaller one that measures 25 by 12 millimeters. But what I like about these beads is the gorgeous color. It's a very pretty pearl color. They have a very pretty pearl finish and color. I really love these. And actually they don't feel like acrylic to me. They feel like glass. And of course we have a beautiful gemstone strand here. Let me show you. These are actually quartz ovals. They're natural quartz oval beads and they measure 15 by 10 millimeters. And they're so beautiful, guys. I love these. I love that some of them are more transparent than others. But the other thing that I like is that they're very consistent in size, which tells me that these are very good quality quartz beads. Very pretty. And there's another quartz item here, and it's this wing. It's a beautiful angel wing with a stainless steel bail. And again, it's natural crystal quartz. It measures 30 millimeters. It's really beautiful. It has some little detail on there. I can see a kind of a crisscross design on the top of the wing. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little crisscross carving at the top. And then we have the detail of the feathers down below. Very nice. And like I said, we have lots of wings here. We have this kind here. That's really pretty. And then we also have this kind in two colors, gold and silver. These are a bit smaller, but these would make great earrings. And we have this kind as well. This looks like a connector of some sort. It has two loops. There's the back. And then we have these little charms here. They look like little angels. This would make a great charm on a bracelet. I can also see a pair of earrings. And if you like the dainty look, you could also use it as a pendant. I think that's the back actually. There's the front. Very nice. And we have this other charm here. And it says, "May your angels always be by your side." What a beautiful message that is. You could definitely use this as a pendant. Let me show you the back. I think I'm seeing snowflake stamping in the back. That's what it looks like anyways. Very nice. We have these two beautiful faceted crystals. The color of these crystals is Mystic Gold Rainbow. They're 12 millimeters in size. And guys, these really sparkle a lot. I can definitely see a pair of earrings with these. Beautiful. We have some 4-point bead cones right here. Let me show you what they look like. As you can see, each one has 4 points. And they come in gold and silver. There's the hole on the top, as you can see. I've used these before. And you can actually bend these to fit beads. I've done that before because the metal is pretty soft. I love these rhinestone spacer beads. These are really pretty. And again, we have two colors here. We have gold and silver. The rhinestones are actually clear. But we get quite a few of these. It looks like we get 10 of each color. So that's really nice. I love this strand. This one's very different looking. These are called triangular crystals and the color is Midnight Blue Rainbow. They measure 4 by 6 millimeters. And right away I'm getting an idea of maybe using them to make Christmas tree earrings. I'd have to play around with them and see how they fit together. But I really like them. I love this strand as well. I love the color. It's a beautiful plum color. They're glass rondelle beads. They measure 4 by 6 millimeters. And I really love the luster of these beads. Very pretty. And these are very interesting as well. These are called Mystic Rainbow Twisted Glass Squares. They measure 10 millimeters. And they look about maybe 6 millimeters thick, maybe a little bit more. But I absolutely love the plating on these beads. They're so beautiful. I like these as well. These are very cool looking. They're aluminum beads and they're called vintage fluted aluminum beads. Now the color says that it's rainbow, but I'm not seeing a lot of rainbow color in these beads for some reason. Maybe it's because of the way the light's hitting them. Or maybe it's just this bead here, because actually this one seems to have a little bit more rainbow color. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it does have a little bit of rainbow effect on top. This one doesn't have as much, but this one definitely does. But anyway, I think they're beautiful. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. I know it was a quick unboxing, but I want to have some time to make something with these beads. So I'm going to look at these beads for a few minutes and then I'll come back with a tutorial. Okay, I've decided to make a Christmas ornament today. And I've made this type before a couple of times in the past. We're going to be making a beaded snowflake. It's one of my favorite ornaments to make, and it makes a great gift. As you can see, I've selected some beads. These are the glass rondelles in a plum color. They're 4 by 6 millimeters in size. These are the twisted glass square beads. The color is Mystic Rainbow and they're 10 millimeters in size. These are the glass pearls. They're 8 millimeters in size and the color is silk. These are the natural quartz oval beads. They measure 15 by 10 millimeters in size, but I may not use them. I might just use pearls instead. I'll decide that later on. I just thought I would bring them out just in case. And these are the triangular crystals. The color is Mystic Midnight Blue Rainbow and they measure 4 by 6 millimeters in size. I'm also going to be using some seed beads. I have some size 11 seed beads and these are by Miyuki, and as you can see they're gold in color and they're round seed beads. I have some size 8 seed beads here and these are Toho's, and it really doesn't matter what brand, guys. You can use Miyuki's or Toho's, it really doesn't matter. And these are in a gold color, as you can see. I have some bugle beads here. They're in a gold color and I don't know what brand these are, but as you can see they're 3 millimeters in size. We're going to be using some craft wire today, and unfortunately I'm going to have to use 28 gauge because the holes on these beads are pretty small. So if you use anything thicker than 28 gauge, it's not going to work. But I think using 28 gauge should be okay because it's not like we're going to be wearing the snowflake. It's going to be hanging on a Christmas tree or perhaps hanging on the fireplace or something. So there's not going to be a whole lot of wear and tear, hopefully. We're going to be using a snowflake form, as you can see, and I've actually made my own snowflake forms before, but it's really difficult to get a very sturdy snowflake if you make it yourself. Trust me, I've tried to do it and it hasn't really worked out that well. It's really difficult to secure these pieces of wire if you do it yourself. But anyway, I have made one myself and I used 18 gauge wire, and if you're interested in making your own form, I'll leave a link down below to a snowflake that I made about a year ago where I made my own form. And by the way, I got the forms on Amazon. They come in a pack of 6, as you can see. The brand is Didi, and I think they measure 5.5 inches from the end of this spoke to the end of that spoke. Let me just move everything up to make room for the seed beads and we'll get started. Here are my 11 Here are my 8 and here are my bugle beads. I'm going to cut myself a pretty long piece of wire. I recommend a 48-inch piece. I know it's a long piece, but you're going to need that much wire. Okay, I've cut myself a piece of wire. And guys, this is your best friend today. These are nylon coated pliers, and you're going to need these because you don't want your wire to have any kinks at all. And trust me, it's very possible that it may get kinks as you work with a snowflake form. It's happened to me many times, and once you get a kink, it's very difficult to fit the wire through the size 11 beads. So that's why I'm warning you ahead of time. So the best thing to do is to keep straightening your wire and just make sure that you don't get any kinks. Pay close attention to the condition of your wire. Here's my form. We're going to start by securing the wire to the center of the form. So you want to place your wire in the middle like this. And now you're going to take the end of it and you're going to start wrapping around each one of these wedges. I'm calling them wedges, but you can call them whatever you want to. And there's really no good way to wrap. You just want to make sure that you do it evenly. The other thing you want to try to do is to flip it around because you want to make sure you cover the back as well. You're basically forming a ball of wire in the center of this snowflake form. Let me just straighten my wire a little bit. Like I said, you don't want any kinks at all. You want it nice and smooth. Let me flip it around. Once you've wrapped that wire a few times, you can actually get rid of this tail. So I'm just going to cut it off with some flush cutters. And if you see anything sticking out, you definitely want to tuck it in. But I'm going to keep wrapping. Let me turn it around and continue on this side. And that looks pretty good to me. I don't think I'm going to do any more. I am going to come in here with my needle nose pliers and squish down this ball of wire. Make sure that it's nice and tight. So that looks pretty good. Let me check this side. It looks pretty even though it's a messy wrap. Now I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to wrap it around this spoke here a couple of times. And now I'm going to press it against the spoke like this. That's going to be the starting point for the beads that we're going to be adding. I have the end of the wire here. And the first thing we're going to load is one of these triangular beads. Let me bring it down. I'll probably end up getting off frame a little bit because the wire is so long. So here's the bead, as you can see, and now I'm going to thread the spoke right through the bead as well. So I have both the spoke and the wire going through the bead. I'm going to take the bead all the way down, press it against the wire ball, and this is what it should look like. And now we're going to load some seed beads. Like I said, you want to make sure your wire doesn't have any kinks. Here's the end of my wire. I'm going to load 3 of these size 11/0 seed beads. Just like that. And I'm going to bring them down. So here they are. Once you have them down there, you can load another triangular bead onto the next spoke. Just like that. And now we're going to take the wire and now we're going to wrap it around the spoke. And you don't need to wrap very many times. 2 to 3 times is sufficient. So this is what it should look like. Let me show you again. I have the end of my wire. I'm going to load 3 of these size 11/0 seed beads. Just like that. I'm going to bring them down to where the snowflake is. Okay. And now I'm going to load one of the triangular beads onto the next spoke. Just like that. Take the wire and wrap it around that spoke a couple of times. So this is what it should look like. Now you're going to see a little bit of wire, that's okay. I'm not too concerned about it. You could play around with the seed beads and use a different size if you wanted to cover up all the wire, but you're really not going to see that wire once everything is completed, and that's the reason I'm using gold. So anyway guys, I'm going to keep going until I finish and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back and I have one more set to add. As you can see, I have 3 seed beads loaded onto my wire. I'm going to come over to this spoke now and I'm going to wrap it around. Let me just move these beads in place a little bit. So this is what you should have. It's not perfect, but like I said, once everything's loaded, you're not going to notice the imperfections. So now I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to line it up with this spoke here. Here's the end of my wire. I'm going to thread on one of these triangular beads. Just like that. I'm going to bring it all the way down. And now I'm going to take the bead and I'm going to thread the spoke right through the bead. So I have the wire and the spoke going through the bead. I'm going to bring that bead all the way down. And this is what you should have. So now we're going to load more beads from spoke to spoke. Here's my tail. I'm going to load 2 11/0s, 1 triangular bead, and another 2 11/0s. I'm sliding the beads down to where the spokes are. So here are the beads, as you can see. And I'm going to load one of these triangular beads onto this next spoke. Like this. Now before you start wrapping, you want to make sure that your beads are going to fit in that space. And the reason I'm telling you this is because everybody's beads are different, guys. It depends on the brand that you're using. But mine looks like it fits, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it. And it's the same thing. I'm doing a couple of wraps. And this is what it should look like. Let me show you again. Here's my tail. I'm going to load 2 11-ohs, 1 triangular bead, 2 11-ohs, just like that. I'm going to let them slide all the way down. And now I'm going to load another triangular bead onto this next spoke. Take my wire and wrap it around that spoke. And this is what you should have. So I'm going to keep going until I get to the end. Okay, I have one more set to add. As you can see, I have 2 11-ohs, a triangular bead, and 2 11-ohs. I'm going to take the wire and wrap it around this next spoke. And now this row is complete, as you can see. I think it looks really nice, and now we're going to move on to the next step. I'm going to take the wire and line it up with this spoke here. I'm going to take one of these beads now. These are the square twisted beads. I'm going to feed my wire through the bead. Bring it all the way down. And now I'm going to feed the spoke through the bead as well. And bring the bead all the way down. Just like that. So now we need to figure out how many beads we're going to need between this spoke and this spoke. And like I said, the seed bead varies depending on the brand. But let me just experiment a little bit. I'm going to load 2 11-ohs. And now I'm going to load 4 of these triangular beads. It's really difficult to work with this wire because it's so thin. Let me bring them down. And now I'm going to load another 2 11-ohs and bring these down. I'm trying to get an even number of beads in the middle, and I'll show you why later on. But it looks like I may need to add more seed beads on the ends. I'm going to remove these beads. And instead of 2 seed beads, I'm going to do 3 seed beads. And now I'm going to load the 4 triangular beads. And now another 3 seed beads, 11-ohs. Bring everything down. Let me just go ahead and load one of these square beads. I think that's going to work out fine, so let me go ahead and wrap it. Like I said, I need an even number of beads in the middle. Let me do it again. I'm going to load 3 11-oh seed beads. Four triangular beads. And another 3 seed beads. Bring everything down. I'm going to thread on one of these square beads. And now I'm going to wrap it around the spoke. I think that looks really nice. So let me go ahead and complete this round and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back and I have one more set to add, as you can see. I have the 3 seed beads, 4 triangular beads, and 3 seed beads. I'm going to take the wire and wrap it around this spoke. So this is what we have so far. I think it's really lovely and very sparkly. So now we're going to move on to the next round. And I'm going to need some more of these triangular beads, so let me go get some more. Here are some more. Let me slide the wraps down a little bit. So now you want to line up the wire with a spoke again, like this. I'm going to start with one of these triangular beads, and I'm going to thread the end of the wire through the bead like this. Slide it all the way down. And now thread the spoke through the bead like this. So I have the wire and the spoke going through the bead. And now we're going to thread another bead. I'm going to thread one of these rondelles. And I'm feeding the tail of my wire through the bead like this. Let me bring it down. So there it is. And to save time, I'm just going to go ahead and thread some more beads before I put them on the spoke. So I have my pearl here. I'm going to thread another rondelle. Another triangular bead. So this is what we have so far. And now I need to thread the spoke through each of these beads. So there's the rondelle. And now the pearl, which is really difficult to do because, like I said, the holes are really small. Let me just use my pliers. That was not easy, but I got it on there. And now let's go ahead and thread the rondelle. And now the triangular bead. So now I have all of them on there, as you can see, and the pearl was definitely very challenging. That's why you can't use anything thicker than 28 gauge. So now that the beads are on this spoke, we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to load some beads onto the wire, and this step is a little bit different. What we're going to do is take this wire all the way down and connect it between these beads here. So now we need to figure out what kind of beads and how many beads we're going to need to go from this bead to the middle of this set here. Well, for some reason my camera didn't turn on and I thought I was filming, and obviously I wasn't, so I missed out on showing you these steps, but at least you can see a preview. As you can see, I have a series of beads on these spokes, and then in the middle I have this loop. And I know it looks a little strange, but I'm going to be finishing that loop after we get done with the beads. It's just going to be another embellishment on the snowflake, and you'll see later on what I'm going to do with it. But anyway, guys, as you can see, I have a series of beads coming down to the middle of these 4 triangular beads, as you can see. The wire is actually anchored in the middle. Then I created this loop in the middle, and then I did the exact same sequence up to this spoke here. So let me just repeat those steps and show you how to do it. I'm going to take the end and load 2 seed beads, an 8-0, a bugle bead, another 8-0, another bugle bead. Let me just assist it because it's really hard to pick up these bugle beads. Another 8-0, another bugle bead, another 8-0. We need a total of 5 8-0s. And now I'm going to finish with 2 11-0s at the end. Bring it all the way down. So this is what you should have. And now you're going to take your wire and you're going to anchor it in the middle between these 4 triangular beads. So I'm pushing it through the gap, pulling it through the back. Make sure it's nice and snug, and then wrap it a couple of times. So you need to push it through the gap again and pull it through the back. And that's good enough for this step. So now I'm going to create the loop in the middle. But before I do, I need to load some beads. So I'm going to load an 8/0 first, then a rondelle, and now one 11/0. So here they are, as you can see, and now I'm going to kink my wire about 1/2 inch longer than the spokes, something like that. I'm going to bring the seed bead all the way down to where the kink is, and I'm going to bend the wire, and now I'm going to take it and thread it through the rondelle and through the 8/0 as well. Pull it all the way through, try not to get it kinked. It's very easy to get this wire kinked. That's why I keep telling you to be careful. And now let me bring the rondelle up, just like that. So that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to anchor the end of the wire to the same spot where I anchored it just a moment ago. So I'm pushing it through the middle, pulling it through the back, and I'm going to wrap it again, pushing it through the middle, pulling it through the back. You may need to straighten out this loop a little bit. So now we have 2 of them created, as you can see. And now we need to load some beads and anchor the wire to this spoke here. So let me go ahead and load some beads. It's the same sequence, guys, 2 11/0s and then 5 8/0s with bugle beads in between. And now I'm ending with 2 11/0s at the end. Bring everything down. So here it is, as you can see. Now before we anchor it to this spoke, obviously we need to put beads here. So let's go ahead and load a triangular bead, a rondelle, a pearl, another rondelle, and another triangular bead. Just like that. And now we're going to anchor the wire to the top of this bead. Couple of wraps. So this is what we have so far. I think it looks really gorgeous. I love the colors. So anyway, guys, those are the steps to create this little pattern here. So I'm going to keep going all the way around and I'll meet you back. Okay, I've completed the whole thing, as you can see, and I'm at the end and I'm ready to finish it off and wrap it around this spoke. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to wrap it a few more times because this is where I'm going to cut the wire. So I've wrapped it about 4 times. Let me just push those coils down. So this is looking pretty nice, and we've finished this step. This was the hardest step, so now I'm going to trim this off. So I'm going to come in with my flush cutters and snip it off. Let me squish those coils down and tuck it in a little bit. And those coils are going to be held in place by some more beads that we're going to be adding in a moment. But anyway, guys, this is what it looks like. And I know you're wondering about these little tendrils here. Don't worry about it because we will take care of them in a few moments. You're going to see what I'm going to do with them. Now, after having completed this, I've changed my mind about what I'm going to add on the ends. I was going to add these quartz beads, but I've changed my mind and I think I'm going to add some more of these pearl beads. So let me go ahead and get them. Okay, I have some pearls down here and I've already attached one to give you a preview, and I've made a loop, which was not easy at all because this is very hard steel. So anyway, guys, let me show you how I'm going to do this one. I'm simply going to take the pearl, thread it on like this, and now I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to use my memory wire pliers just to get it started because this is very hard steel. So I'm going to place the pliers right there on the tip of the spoke, and I'm going to get it started. It's very, very difficult. And now I'm going to switch to a different kind of plier. I'm going to switch to these round nose pliers and I'm going to finish it off. I would say use whatever pliers you can, guys, to get the job done, because this part is not easy at all. And if you need to straighten your loop out, do so. It may take you a few tries until you get the whole thing closed. Let me straighten out the loop a little bit. And this is the best I can do. So anyway, I'm going to do the rest of the spokes the exact same way, and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back and I've completed all the loops on all the spokes. Let me give you a close-up. As you can see, each one is looped off. And obviously you can use these loops to hang it on the tree or hang it wherever you want. You can also hang little dangles if you want to. But anyway, guys, I think it looks really lovely. I love the colors. It definitely looks vintage, but it's very sparkly at the same time. Of course, vintage items can be sparkly as well. So the next step is to tackle these tendrils, and let me show you what we're going to do. What I want to do is move the rondelle to where the seed bead is, the 11-0. You want that at the very end. We're going to work on this piece first. And so what I'm going to do now is separate it like this, and I'm going to give it a couple of twists. So it's going to have a few twists at the very base where the beads are. It's a little difficult to do because the wire is very thin. Let me just get rid of the kinks so you can see it better. As you can see, I have a few little twists right there at the base, not too many. And now we're going to bring the seed bead down to the middle, the 8-0. So now what we need to do is form two loops, one here and one here. So you want to separate the two pieces of wire like this, and then move to this side and separate these two pieces. Like this. And you want that 8-0 somewhere in the middle between those two loops. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. Let me just make this one a little bit bigger. You want the loops to be pretty equal in size. And if you want to, you can use some pliers to open them up a little bit more. And now I'm going to pick it up. And this part's a little bit tricky. I'm going to grab hold of this 8-0 seed bead and I'm going to push it down to form two additional little loops on the sides like that. Hopefully that's not too confusing. And now we're going to twist these two pieces, and to do that we need to squash this little loop a little bit so it's skinnier, like that. And now using some flat nose pliers, I'm going to grab the tip and I'm going to start twisting. You might want to hold on to the twisted portion of your wire at the base. Now you do need to be careful because if you twist this wire too much, it will snap. 28 gauge is pretty fragile, so the more twists you have, the more fragile it becomes. So you want to keep twisting it until you get a very tiny loop on the very tip. Let me just do one more. So this is what you should have. Okay, it's pretty cute. And now I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So once again, I'm going to squash that loop a little bit to make it skinnier. And now with my flat nose pliers, I'm going to start twisting it. I'm trying to be gentle with it because I don't want the wire to snap. So this is what you should have, and I'm not going to push them up just yet because we need to do this loop. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab the bead and push it down. Let me just move this one out of the way. And now I'm going to squash this one a little bit so it's skinnier. So that one's done, and now let's do this side. Let me move this one out of the way, and I'm going to squish this one as well, And now with my flat nose pliers, I'm grabbing the tip and I'm twisting. So now that we've done that part, we're going to move these up a little bit and shape them a little bit so they're pointing upward. So that looks pretty good. They're not perfect, but they're definitely very decorative. So I'm going to do the same thing to all of them and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back and I've completed all of the tendrils. As you can see, I'm calling them tendrils, but I really don't know what the proper name is. But I think it looks really, really lovely. Like I said before, I love the colors and I love the sparkle. And I think these tendrils give it some detail and make it look really, really pretty. So that's basically it. And now all I have to do is find some ribbon to hang from one of these loops. Of course, I could always use some other kind of material, maybe some cord or maybe a metal hanger of some sort. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I'm probably going to end up giving this away to somebody. I don't think I'll hang it on my tree, although it has the colors that I normally use on my tree. I have a gold and red theme on my tree. And this is not exactly red, but it's in the family. I actually prefer plums and dark reds for Christmas instead of just bright red. But anyway guys, I'm going to go ahead and put this away and I'll come back and say goodbye. Well, what do you think of this ornament? Isn't it pretty? I love these colors. These are the colors that I actually use on my Christmas tree. I have a lot of reds and golds and cream colors, and I've had them for years. I don't change them at all. I just think it's such a pretty combination. Now my tree is not vintage. It doesn't have vintage ornaments. I usually use a lot of ornaments, but I have reduced the numbers because there was a time in the past where I packed every single branch with ornaments. There wasn't a spot on the tree that didn't have an ornament. So then I downsized and I got rid of some of them. And even though my children are growing up, I still put it up because I think it's so much fun and it really changes the ambience of a home. I think it definitely kicks up the positive vibes and it makes your place feel warm and peaceful. I really love that. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you can make your own snowflake. Don't forget you can use different colors, different kinds of beads. Be creative and just explore the options and make a ton of them so you can put them on your tree or give them away as gifts. So anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.